Welcome back to Have Faith, Show Love, Give Hope, the podcast. Today I have Jodie Summers. He's a local activist, poet, author, entrepreneur, chef, actor. He's been in films. He's a poet. He's like been on stages. We had a great conversation.
I am an open book, yes, an open book to those that decide to read. 1,000 words, yes, 1,000 words to those who've only caught a glimpse of me. And a lifetime, yes, a lifetime to those that can say they were part of my story. If you are anywhere under the sound of my voice, you are now family. Because on this stage, yes, on this stage is where I share the most vulnerable parts of myself. And I hope, yes, I hope that you hear me.
Show love, give hope today. Together we're stronger in every way. From the streets to the heart, we're breaking the mold.
Today I have Jodie Summers. Thank you. What's up, Jodie? Thank you for coming.
What's up? Good to see you.
Good to see you. I met you. I already kind of like knew of you, but I met you at the event from Andrew's event at the Nor Lounge, and we and I was watching you, right? Because I was like, oh, that dude's interesting. You got the big cane, and I was like, so then we kind of like you were talking with somebody, I was talking with somebody. And then, but I seen you kind of like walking out, and I was like, "Oh, hold on!" And I went and like kind of, "Hey, are you leaving?" You're like, "No, I'm not leaving." So we sat there and talked, exchanged social media. I love everything you do, and I wanted to sit down with you and kind of, get to know you a little bit, because I'm from Toledo. Are you from Toledo?
Yes, I am.
You're
Everything in my brand and stuff, yeah. Mud raised, Toledo made.
okay. Mud raised, Toledo made. That's pretty good. So, what part of town did you grow up in?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
I'm more of a grifter, bouncing and floating everywhere. Although most people that do know me know I've been on the east side since like 2011, 12, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, because to me, like, I feel like I know you. Like, I don't know you personally, but I've seen you around. I've seen you on social media. I've seen you do a lot of things. You're like into a bunch of different things. You're like an actor. You do poetry, community work, businesses, books. You do a little bit of everything. And I wanted to kind of get to know you and kind of pick
my
that brain a
little
little bit and see what's going on. How did it all start? Like poetry, books, music? What was it?
Well, March 23rd, 2015 was the first time I actually stepped on a stage. And it was because I had got a host position to do an open mic. I'd never done open mics before, but I guess you could say I wrote poetry. I still don't consider what I write poetry. Just kind of like a journal of my life. But I was supposed to start the open mic April 1st. So I'm like, well, I had never been to an open mic. I actually like that, so let me go to one. And I went to one, and my friend, she put my name on the sign-up sheet. And from that moment, 10 years later, I've done probably 20,000 plus shows. Last year, I did 528 shows, speaking engagements, stuff like that. So it was kind of something that stuck, because I truthfully never saw myself doing art in any form, and now I do like all of them.
Yeah. So that's how it all started.
Yep.
Just one friend like having faith in you to like put
Threw me
put
out
your
in the
name.
water in the deep end. It was like, fly.
Yeah, but she must have already knew that you had something in like.
Yeah, for a while, people had watched me writing and stuff or journaling on social media, and they kept telling me to go open mics. So when I got the opportunity to host one, because I had done some podcast and radio with a person here named Prophet, we had a show called Cast Off. Shout out to everybody over there, Frank Wright in the studio, Power 109.9. So many years ago. But so when I got asked to do that, I mean, is any good thing you want to do, you got to do some research. So I couldn't just go in there like, I know how to host shows and stuff, but I had never hosted a poetry thing. And it was just like, that's the thing that hooked me. Seeing all of the people there, I believe Sierra Freeman and some stuff was one of the first people. Kay Renee, by the way, was the one that was hosting it and still does. We just did something last year. And we haven't started this year, but it may come, the Poetry and Soul Sessions. So that was one of my first experiences into being a griot.
What's that?
Griot. It's another word for poet, a storyteller or an orator or somebody that just speaks kind of for a living. So even what you would see as your motivational speakers are using some form of poetry and captivating an audience to get you to sit there and listening to them for hours. Even interviewers and stuff are a form. I see it as poetry because, words, and if you can put enough of them together to make people feel some type of emotion, you've created art.
Yeah. So did that lead to motivational speaking? Is that part of your speaking engagements all over?
Somewhat. That very first year was a lot. I also jumped into activism with BLM or Black Lives Matter, and then a whole bunch of other organizations. I am treasurer of one, and we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary, CSRN, or Community Solidarity Response Network, which flies under Black Lives Matter, but it is a gamut of everything. So we marched out Washington several times, done collaborations with other organizations like Survivor Speak and Crave and United Way and mental health organizations. So we are a culmination of a lot of justice-seeking organizations.
Yeah, so community work is like really important to you, right?
Yeah, it's impactful. It's why I'm here today. If I hadn't found, I guess, all of it at the same time, the poetry and the activism and writing books, I wouldn't be standing here. I would have found something else to try and work at.
Yeah. So for the city of Toledo, you do a lot of work and stuff in the community. What'd you tell me about the bus? You're part of the board for something?
Yep. I'm part of the Tartar Advisory Board. So we meet every other month to kind of discuss the lines and how easy it is for transportation or accessibility with, what is it? Because it was Flex and now it's On the Go or something like that. But the programs for the people that are disabled or handicapped and they can't really, jump in the car or they don't have somebody just to be like, take me here everywhere. So Tarta is a route for that.
Oh yeah, so, they provide that.
And I currently catch the bus. With the staff, you can't really know your neighborhood if you're just driving through it. You have to get out, talk to people, and to do that, you slow down. You walk through neighborhoods, you talk to people. I'm also one of the city chair wards. So that involved a lot of canvassing and knocking on doors, and or where some people see it as political, I see it as meeting the needs of my community.
So that's what the politics. It's more about community to you. It's not about all of this, like this and that and all that. Yeah,
there's no red, blue, green, white parties for me. It's my community, and I took that from activism after protesting and stuff. So it's weird too, because most of these things are like oil and water. But one weekend I was protesting on your line. Or on your lawn, and then next weekend it was like, hey, we had chambers together, we're about to sign this bill. So they're like, how do you do that? And it's all the same thing to me. Being a civil servant or being an activist is still fighting for my neighbors in the community I don't know yet. And that's why I take the bus. That's why I carpool. That's why I try and show up to things, even if you would not think they go together. Say, a children's event, and then later on in a few hours, I'm at an EDM rave show.
Yeah.
Just different age group.
Yeah.
Where people still need to be listened and heard and felt and not judged.
Absolutely. So you like to go pop up at all different types of events in Toledo. Yes. I seen that. I seen one day you're at one day we're at that that community thing, and then I seen you post pictures at this other event, and then another event, and all kinds of. Even you went to my last guest show.
Yep.
Yeah.
Night and Heart.
Yeah, Night Heart. Yeah, Night Heart.
And
it was his birthday bash.
Yep. And you got Crystal. You'll be getting to Crystal by the end of the interview too. It's things that I do that for a while in my life I tried everything from sewer work to roof work. I was a day labor for years, traveling, grifting, and stuff. All except art until now. Now I kind of do that as a profession.
Yeah.
But just to meet people, to find out what they're about, because it enriches your life.
Yes.
If you stay stuck in, I can only hang out with these people, then that's the only kind of people you're going to understand and hang out with. If you allow yourself the variety of everything. I mean, you may not like it, but then too, you may find that area fulfills something else. So for me, an EDM show one week, or an R&B jazz show, or a rave to a children's concert. Or open mic. It's enriching in different ways because, you stay stuck in one thing, you'll never know enough.
Yeah, and you know what else you do, man? The people on that stage, they see you and they see that you care. You know what I'm saying? Because like if you just show up, I try to show up to some things, but some things I can't. But it feels good to get noticed. So when you're an artist, a poet, even a child doing a concert, and you see, the people out there, man, even if you're not family or whatever, it's exciting, man, to get some people to clap for you. And it's powerful, man.
The stage is definitely a rush that you won't get anywhere else, but it's not for everyone.
Of course.
Again, I'm entering into my decade independently, but I've been on somebody's camera since I was like 5. So almost 40 years. I ain't gonna say exactly 40. Still got a little bit for that. But yeah, it's and through that whole process, like before I even became an entertainer, I loved watching shows, comedy behind the scenes, or how actors do stuff. So I was kind of honing my skills then, even though I didn't know it, by just listening to like Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy and George Carlin and all of the people who had longevity that were kind of social media commentary before there was social media.
Yeah.
And you learned it's a lot. As some of the new entertainers or people that I meet in the industry, I try and pass knowledge on about consistency and preparation and practice and stuff the audience, I guess you could say the magic curtain, the audience don't get to see, because it's great, but then as an entertainer, you can become jaded to what you do. Because if like you say, you go out there, you get applause, people love you, you may never see them again. A lot of stages I get on, I take pictures with my phone because I don't know when my last one's going to be. I don't control fate that much. I just know I'll do my best to show up. But it's definitely an exhilarating experience.
Yeah. So you do like social media. You use social media a lot for your platform, right?
Yep. I've cut back in the last couple of years because after so long, you don't have to do so much. Most posts or things go into snowball effect because you met so many people. But yeah, I was very big on self promotion.
Yes.
No bots, no boosts, no checks, no stuff. It's different terms for everybody now because, again, I've been doing this for a decade. At one point, I managed 838 groups, 12 pages, and all the stuff because, especially, that's one thing people don't think of. Like, I get to do all this stuff. But one thing as an entertainer, you also have to budget and be able to make it to your next gig. And that is more difficult than the term starving artist and stuff like that. You're doing a whole bunch of stuff, making all this money, but then you got to think about transportation and paying fees, like even interviews and stuff. And most people don't think about some magazines that you get on. That comes if you aren't part of some contract or organization, and even if you will do, I saw some people go broke, but you got to pay for that.
Yeah.
Not every interview is free. Not every appearance is free, although the industry now where they try to make new artists pay a ridiculous amount is scummy. But
Yeah.
there's loopholes everywhere. So yeah, that's
Some people don't know that even the songs on the radio, like the executives up top pay the iHeartRadio like millions of dollars to pump that music. That's why you keep hearing it every day.
Yep, there's a lot of stuff. And some of the artists, Kendrick for one, expose a lot of that we knew back in the day, that there would be rooms with nothing but phones or devices that's what the studio pays for. They set it up, they'll put it on your whatever video or whatever, and just press a button, and it's automatically recycling views as if it was a real person.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's so okay. That's interesting. That's a pretty, because like people think, oh, that's all numbers, but somehow, some way, it could be like some bot stuff.
Most of the time, it is. A lot of the time, it is. But then that's within the budget of the company. You sign the contract with us. We gonna make sure you get this many views. So Bob makes your room 3 and 4 is set up to be playing nonstop this person, because they also have an investment in that too. I mean, all that equipment, all that stuff, the stadiums, it costs money.
Yeah. Okay, so since we were talking about you talking about money and everything costs and stuff like that, you're also an entrepreneur, a business owner. You started a business called Toledo Mud Sauce and Ink Truth. Can you tell me? And there's more, right? But can you tell me a little bit about your entrepreneur?
Like, wait, there's more now.
Yeah, wait, there's more. Well, I just want to kind of get a feel of what you do and stuff.
So in the process of that, again, starving artists trying to make stuff. If you don't want to sign somebody, or if you're not super popular, you work. So as I was doing these open mics and hearing, well, it's just a hobby, you can't do this, and blah, blah, blah. A friend of mine named Dee, she used to own an art gallery downtown. She started what is now known as Catfest. And she asked all of us artists that were there at one point in time, if you have anything for domestic violence, please bring it. So I wrote my first book, which is a source of income that is residual, that you can keep making money off of, or an item for merchandise that you sell. So from the book, that opened up other doors like acting and doing short films, which also led me into saying that I want to draw. So Ink Truth is my illustrative form of the words, or the art form behind itself, which puts you in another market. So now I have clothing and hats and stuff from my artwork, which is also a source of income. Now everything I'm not just selling hoodies and hats and books every single day, but every little bit helps. So when you do go to say, I want to be a feature, which for most cases, if you do poetry or stuff, is far and few in between, because people still see it as a hobby. It's not quote unquote music, even though most of our lyrics are what make music is what it is. So you learn how to get to places. Traveling is quite difficult when you don't have a big budget or even a job. My first 5 years of entertainment, I didn't have a consistent job. So traveling on stage, going to different shows, giving people books and stickers, because I do stickers too, was what was paying the bills. And now I do have such, I guess you could say, an assortment of things that I'm my own company. So if you need hoodies, if you need hats, stickers, stuff like that, I can produce it myself. I went and invested in my own printers, and connected with somebody, because taking all them orders could be a lot. So the person that does my stickers and my hats and everything, that's outsourced through a local company. So even my own dollars recirculate back into my community.
And how can people find that? Like, where could someone go to buy that?
So right now, any of the books you can get on Amazon. Well, Most of them, a lot of my books are either chat books or independent publishers, but my main three, the Tears of the Wounded series, there's a volume 1 and 2 on that. And the Childhood Trauma series, there's a volume 1, 2 should be out no later than the end of April. I like to give them about a good couple years to simmer in between, because being on tour is a lot. And then when you switch up drastically from one genre to another, it's like you get different people. So that second one's coming out. And then there's the Mud Sauce that you talked about before, what was that? Around my second book. I was working at a restaurant downtown called the Black Cloister. And
because you cook too.
Yes, I'm a chef too. I do a lot. Chef, builder, jack of all trades, or polymath. Just again, if you want to learn how to do something, you don't have a lot of funding, teach yourself. Go out there and learn the skills, so that way you won't be asking somebody to do it for you. And even if you do, because at some point I don't want to be pressing all the buttons, I know when I'm getting cheated or not. I can set my own contracts and my own things to make that work. But Toledo's Mud Sauce, I was in the kitchen at a time and I was just messing around with it, ingredients. One thing you get to do as a chef, as lovely as play with all the back of the house ingredients, and I created this sauce. And they named the pizza after me, but unfortunately, it was called the Jodie's Way. It's my sauce is a mustard-based sauce with a dairy element that doesn't give you heartburn. It's different flavors and different colors. But at the time, we abruptly closed. And I went to Paco's at the park, which is now closed after 5 years. Even longer story. But so I wanted to expand. And in that time, I started showing it off somewhat like the pink sauce lady before there was that. But I took it to a whole bunch of places, and I found out it was multi-purpose. So it could be used as marinade, as barbecue sauce, salad dressing, of course, pizza sauce that it was named after. It's called Toledo's Mud Sauce, and it's kind of been on the back burner. Again, that takes a lot of money to do all the process. It's about $10,000 or so. And I didn't have that at the time, so I just got my my LLC, EIN, all that stuff as a food producer, and just kind of have set on it. I probably will be going back to it after I take a break from the art, but it's good. I did get a lot of reviews on it. Eventually, it's coming back, everybody. I get, like once or twice a week, I get somebody asking, "Where's the mud sauce?" And I'm like, "Soon."
You can make it yourself, but it's hard to make it in bulk to produce it to everybody.
Right, and have it the legal way, because a lot of people do stuff and they're not ready for the lawsuits that they could get when it does become big. So instead of me just panhandling my stuff out of somewhere or going to an event and risking that getting a health violation or something, I'm saying, I'm the only person who knows the ingredients. I did do some stuff with Jumpstart that was here to try and get to a facility to get everything written down, but I'm kind of glad I didn't, because if you don't work on something long enough, somebody else that you might have worked on could seize the opportunity. So I try and keep a lot of stuff close to me, even my organizations. I work with domestic violence and mental health. I try and invite everybody to everybody's party. Doesn't always happen. It's just kind of me that's able to minutia through everybody.
Those are organizations. Them things you're saying, mental health and battered women and stuff. Stuff that you hear things that you can't really talk. You got to hold that kind of stuff to your chest, because you can't talk about some of the stuff that them people talk to you about.
And that is another thing that's true. Like one thing that separates me from a lot of authors and poets and stuff is that's what I started my career on, was domestic violence and mental health and abuse. And people see me in these rooms and they're like, "But you're a guy. You look like the person that I'm here for." So I've learned over the years to be okay with that. You go into these rooms, and then you're always going to have, or especially me, that face card of why am I here? This is what brought me here. For people that do read my books and know some of the backstories and stuff, know that my mother was murdered by a serial killer. So that's kind of what started the journey, and I took that experience and used that within my work. So I'm not a stranger or a infiltrator in any situation or any room. What was I saying? I'm not just a customer. I'm the CEO, or whatever, of childhood trauma and everything. I'm not writing these things or creating this stuff to make money or supposedly be a great artist. This is actually my life, which helps in many situations when I do meet some people in the field.
Yeah, so a lot of this stuff that you're doing, it's because you had that, you went through that experience. I didn't know that. You didn't. I didn't know.
Yeah.
We didn't like your mom was the murder victim of a serial killer here in Toledo.
Yep.
Can you talk about that or no? A little bit.
Yeah. Over 20 years ago, he was a truck driver. Recently, like the last month or two, I even found out more details about the case that he supposedly he has more than 50 bodies, but he's only given them about half because in certain cases or certain places, he can still get the death penalty. And how my mother was found was he gave her up and another person from Toledo for a shortened sentence. So that was interesting to find out. And for me, it was a little bit of closure, finding that out within the last couple of months, because afterwards I had left the situation. Actually, that was probably one of Sasha Bray's first cases. She was fresh anchor. Still have vague memories of that day and stuff, but yeah.
How old were you when this happened?
I was 18 at the time, but by the time they told us and everybody, she had been missing for like 6 months. So it was a week after my 19th birthday.
Oh, so you were an adult, like an older kid.
Just freshly emancipated out of the foster care system. Another reason for the child of the system name, because I also talk about those things in some of my books and poetry, how foster care was. But yeah, fresh 19 years old, opened the door to 2 detectives, and it's been interesting in the process. From the person I heard of that did some research for me, I found out he does radio and podcast in the UK. They interview serial killers and everything like that. So.
Yeah. Oh, so he's out of jail?
No, he's in jail. He is more bodies than Dahmer.
Yeah.
50 people.
And then he's a truck driver that crossed all around the United States?
Yeah, he was a truck driver. He had a normal life. He did that because I listened to some of the interviews for over 25 years.
Wow.
So, lived here, had a job, looked normal and everything like that. But every now and then he would go on the road and strangle women. I think it was all women except for 2 men from, at least that he confessed to.
Yeah.
And then my mom was the only African-American female that he murdered.
Wow.
So, but yeah.
Well, that's traumatizing. Like when you get to, go through all that stuff and you already were in the system already. So you already were struggling, and then boom, on top of that, throw some more stuff, right?
So it was a lot. And it was an interesting 10 years of my life before going back to how I couldn't have not done nothing, and or just being angry at people because they had their whole families and every holiday and stuff like that. And it helps within the work that I do now. So when I do stuff with Survivor Speaks or domestic violence organizations, I do have a reason for being there.
Yes.
In some people's cases, I never compare trauma with people. But in some people's cases, it's like, well, I just got in a fight with my family member, and yours is never coming back. And then you hear more of the details. It's like, okay, so you one of us.
Yeah.
On the back end of that, it kind of sucks because I have to lead with that. Because, again, I look like the person for who most of them are there for.
Avoiding, yeah.
But it helps. It's rewarding because I get to be that someone that looks like you. When I do my stuff for the city and the political stuff, I get to look exactly like this. I had to wear no suit and tie, be in the blue plate specials and the $500 plates, and it's like everybody looks different, and I have my staff, my colors.
You're original.
I actually live still. This year I'll be buying my first house in the projects, because you can't talk about something or how people need to be better if you're not actually able to walk a mile in their shoes.
Yeah.
So that was also one of my things when I started my career, is to give myself 10 years. 10 years is almost people might see a change here after this year, but that was a vow I made to, if I was going to do this and going to full force of being an entertainer independently, I had to know what it was like. So if I'm going to talk about the streets or the community, that's where I got to live.
Yeah.
No matter how much money I made, no matter what tours I did, I will come back home and see what they see every day.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's a great mission, because you get to touch and feel, and like riding the bus, like you get to actually, like, you're on the board. Well, guess what? You ride the bus. You actually get to feel, touch, see what people are seeing, smell what people are smelling. You know what I mean? It's like you're in the dirt. Let's real quick. Let's take a little break. I want to check the camera, and I want. Ready? All right, we're back. Yeah, that's he's a realtor. He's a realtor. He sells houses around here. That's my dude. You ready?
Yep.
So this podcast is gonna come out this Saturday.
Okay.
I'm gonna make the thumbnail tonight. I'm gonna edit it tomorrow night and post it Saturday morning.
Okay.
So I don't really do a lot of pre-recordings. I kind of go week by week, unless there's a cancellation, and sometimes there's if the person doesn't show up, I just do an episode by myself about whatever. Yeah. Because
content is king.
I like to go week to week. I don't like to pre-record and have you sit down and then it comes out 2 months later. I don't like that, because it feels like we're talking about things that happened a long time ago. Like, let's say you bring up a subject about Toledo today that happened today, then I put it out 2 months later, and we're talking about the past. I don't know. It feels weird. I have did it though.
Sometimes those are necessary, but I'm waiting now still on like 3 or, especially when you get into acting and stuff like that. It's like, I shot that movie 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just now coming out. I've been telling people, nobody believes me anymore. It's like, what movie?
Yeah, dude, you're delusional. You didn't make no movie. We haven't seen the movie come out. Yeah, that's some people, man. I wanted to ask you about your necklaces and all of that stuff. What is all that?
So as I was, traveling and finding things to do in the beginning of my career, I was looking for something to have as keepsakes or as memories. And what was it? This one, I want to say, was one of the first necklaces given to me as a gift. So I figured that when I go to different places, and since I'm always vending with the books or the artwork, I collect things. When I go traveling, I collect things from different places. So when I went to Niagara Falls and the Grand Canyon in Japan, I took offerings or things from vendors and stuff that I knew. So these all represent either places or people that I've met, even some that aren't here anymore, that get to go on stage with me. As a poet, most poets are independent. So we don't have 2-3 poets. There's some poetry that does that where they have like troops, but most of the time you are by yourself on stage. And this reminds me of how far I've come, the people I've met, and even though some of them aren't here anymore, they get to be a part of the process. When I greet people, when I meet people, when I give somebody a hug, it's all a good reminder that I am not alone.
That's sweet. That's sweet. And then the little medal around them, you that's created, or people hand you like that, or you get the medal and you wrap it around. What is it?
So the ones that's more intricate around my neck, those are called fire wrapped, or there's another term for them, but they are created by different people. The ones, and actually after a few years, I want to say, what was it, 2020, around 2021, I had wanted to do like a thank you to all the people that had helped me or encouraged me when I was writing the childhood trauma series. I made a little gift box called the Black Santa Claus box. I still got a couple from that project to give out to people, but in that I had these little balls in these cages so people could, make their own juries. Because I always came back from my trips with stones and crystals, because it was the easiest thing for me to be like, well, let me give you something priceless. I can give a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, everybody's always asking about these, and do I make them? I have extra supplies left. And I started making charms. But just the simple charms. It started off with polished stones that I would sell for $5. And what is it? It's been a couple years now. So about 3 years later, I've made over 10,000. And then they are in different categories now. So you can get the still polished stones for $5, or you can get raw crystals, points and stuff for $10, and then bigger crystals, like bigger chunks of amethyst, like this one here, for $15. And a way for me to do something on the spot and give people gifts when I show up places.
Yeah.
Because I was always told if you're going somewhere new or things like that, you don't go empty-handed. So when I do my various amounts of going to all these different events, if I see entertainers or stuff like that, because I'm always, no matter how many stages I cross or what awards I win, I'm always going to be an audience member too. And because I know how hard it is to get up on stage, I come with stuff. So
okay.
See me at an open mic or a feature and be like, here you go. You may not know me ever again. Don't even know my name, but I want to give you something to remember this moment more than just, hey, pay the bill.
Yeah, absolutely. And then where can people find those things at?
Me at the moment currently, I don't really do too many things online or consignment. This year, I might put some of the artwork in places like Handmade Toledo.
I hung it up.
Yep.
So people can see it. That's some of your artwork right there.
Yep. Ink Truth is my art collection. When I was doing the second book of the Tears of the Wounded, I wanted each chapter to be illustrated. I kept going to people, and they kept sending me back these CAD or AI drawn images, and I'm like, no, I hired an artist, not a computer geek. Not like that, but or not somebody that just paint by numbers on the tablet. I wanted to feel as much as the words felt. Couldn't find nobody. I got really mad, and it just happened to be on the 4th of July. So I said, in symbolism of what that day means, and for people of my melanation who weren't necessarily free, I would take my freedom back, and I started drawing. And I didn't stop because I kind of get obsessive compulsive with things. I either art or acting and stuff, and I wrote or drew out the first 30 in a year. That one right there is actually number 30. And through the process of it, there are 48 illustrations at the moment. My goal was to do 60. I've taken a couple of years hiatus to kind of organize everything instead of trying to do everything at once.
Mm-hmm.
And they come in different colors. They speak on different situations. Some of them you have to see in the mirror or turn upside down because I wanted it to be like, I didn't want to create anybody else's artwork.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a degree in it. I just took paper, pen, marker. I have this giant book that I draw in. So everything that you do see is scanned in. So I went down to the library, which through that process and stuff, I got co-contracted with them. So I'm also in the library, not just my books on Amazon, which you can look them up in the Ohio search system and get them that way. But I wanted to do more. So after drawing them out and scanning them in, I can put them on anything, on clothing, on hats. I could wrap an entire building if you gave me enough time to stretch the original image out to that being needed.
Absolutely. And that's original artwork.
Yep.
That's so original that you couldn't draw that again.
I could not draw it again.
Because it would be different.
It would be different also because since I used the same book to do all my illustrations in, the piece before that one gets impressioned on the new piece because of the marks and stuff. So
yeah,
AI and all that try and get me because you wouldn't be able to. You would get some of the stuff.
Yeah, but no. Yeah, things like that are so original that no one could replicate. Not even the person that did it.
Yep.
You could print it, you know what I mean, but you can't, you know what I mean, make the same one.
Yep.
Because like those strokes on every little leaf and like, what is that? Is there a name to that piece? The owl or something?
So most of the collection, all of the collection has names, description on why it was made, the time it was made in, and then some of them come with poems. That piece is called Final Stroke. It was the 30th in the collection, which represents everything that's in the world. The first and the last piece, if you look at the little details and stuff, you can see the world that the character lives in, and his name is Stephen. Stephen Timeskeeper, which is, I guess you could say, the artistic creation of me. As you see in that one, he's looking at a book with a pencil and stuff. So when I created my second book series, the Childhood Trauma series, he is named as the illustrator. As a way to encourage people that anything is possible, because he's not a real boy.
Yeah.
But if you look at my books, and because of how registering your books and stuff goes, him listed as the illustrator makes him a real boy.
Yeah.
To encourage people.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I can't do it. Yeah. Even this imaginary character has illustrated a whole book. Like that piece there in particular took 16 hours in 4-hour sessions.
Yeah, okay.
So 'cause your hand cramps up and stuff like that. You just gotta
take a break. Take a break. So people you don't have a website, but people could just hit you up on Facebook and you could get them the art. You could Google you. You got all kinds of, you're on all social media platforms, right? Instagram.
Well, the big three. Instagram, Facebook. YouTube, and Facebook. I don't do what is it?
TikTok and all that.
Yep. Nope. I don't like short content.
But you got the big three, and those are the most important where people could find you.
Yep.
And if anybody wants to buy your art or your necklaces or anything, they could just hit you up on Facebook, and you could give them with the price list. And
give them the price list. Like the art page, all of my book series have their own individual page.
Oh, yeah.
So when you Google me, it'll tell you Tears of the Wounded or Childhood Trauma series or Ink Truth, which is the art brand. And then you can ask specifically there, or you can ask me specifically because I run everything.
Yeah.
When you message me or call me, that is actually me. It's not an assistant or anything, although probably this year I'm going to have to get one as my 10 years is up and it's time to venture into other things like investing. I run nonprofits. So learning how that world works too now that I'm not just board member of several, but I actually have my own to transition that into same thing with mental health and stuff. So if you are trying to throw an event and you need an entertainer or or a poet or somebody to do a program. Now you can hire me through that, and it's a tax write-off.
Okay.
Which is big. That's kind of how a lot of other organizations, why you see other entertainers have drinks and stuff like that, because it's the only way, truthfully, to expand. You can't expect to go viral and that to save your life.
Yeah,
and you're always going to be chasing viral.
Yeah.
So I could be boring by my chips.
Yeah. Because then you go viral for some like stupid thing, then you got to keep doing that stupid thing every day for the rest of your life.
Yep.
Like, no, I'm good. I just keep doing myself, And I think I mean all the links to everything will be in the description.
Awesome.
Because you sent me everything.
Yeah.
This guy, man, very thorough. Sent me his whole thing, all the links, photos. Very professional, man. I love it because some people you gotta like, hey, reach out to them a bunch of times to get them to send you some things. You're very prepared, and I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
And I think that's a level of professionalism you have to have after so long. I've been in front of the camera since I was 5. I used to run nightclubs and after hours and all kinds of stuff. And even when I do go to concerts and stuff, I'm always willing to help out with the stagehands and stuff because I've been there. I did that before. So I know that it could be interesting. People will hand you a flash drive after you announce their name to go up on stage. And I never wanted to have somebody deal with that hassle, as most of the time they're paying me or giving me some type of publicity that is going to pay me if I pivot right.
Yeah.
One thing I hope a lot of people going into different industries learn too. When I started, I didn't know what an EPK was or an electronic press kit. And as you build it, it will get bigger, but the moment it's like a resume. So, I did this concert or I do this stuff, and you just kind of start putting that all into a file. Now it's a lot easier for me because I'm just like adding things. I remember when I first started hearing that, I'm like, what do you mean I got to send you this and photos and all this stuff? I was like, but that's a lot. So, but the moment you start putting it away and like, hey, these are some photos of me that's okay for press. These are my links, and it's good to have in any situation.
Yeah, I really appreciate it because it shows me that you're prepared and you're going to be here. Sometimes people, cancel on me last minute and stuff. So I really appreciate when someone's really prepared, professional, and everything. I really it shows me like you're giving me a good example. I look up to people, man. So when I see people, I'm not afraid to be like, hey, I look up to you, or I'm not afraid to look at the great things that another man does. So when I see people like that, it inspires me to be even better, Yep. I don't know why, but that's just the way I am. I've always been like that. What do you have in the little bag there?
So these are, because I actually did it last week on my show where I make the necklaces live. Like that's another reason why I don't have a website or anything, because I don't know. I want you to know that this was made for you. It's not just another generic item on the shelf that I'm trying to get to pay some bill. So I started like in my bag, which is one thing that you'll always see me around or in the vicinity of me, is where I keep all my stuff.
Yeah.
To help out and stuff like that. So I'm going to make you some tourmaline. I have some black tourmaline and watermelon tourmaline.
Tourmaline. What is tourmaline? It's like a special rock or something?
Yeah. Rocks, minerals, crystals, stones, and stuff like that. I go on the theory of there is enough internet out there if you wanted to know if this specific rock is going to do this specific thing. But for me, they're memories. They're something that's older than us.
Yeah.
And as I've learned through all of my years and stuff, if you believe in something strong enough, it might come true. But I believe in just being good.
Yeah.
Just being nice, having a purpose to do something. And if it does benefit you or something down the line, you don't have to say it's magic.
Yeah.
Because I've had some people as I've made them, or as they see me, they ask me all these like, "What does it do?" And I'm like, "Be a stone or an awesome memory." And like, no, is it gonna? They say, I don't know. It's like with religion to me. Everybody has their own system of what's going to work for you. Personally, I am a Buddhist or a Bodhisattva, which is a Buddhist priest.
Yes.
Which puts me in a lot of weird, combative, somewhat not so safe spaces with people after they find out, because most people expect me to be a certain type of thing. But after a lifetime of traveling and doing stuff, I found that to be the best version or practice. Because it's not really a religion in a sense like that. It's more of a practice on life and lessons and stuff like that. So for me, that's how I kind of feel about crystals.
Yeah. I think that's interesting. I didn't really have much of belief for a while. I grew up Jehovah's Witness, and then for a while I just like got out of it. But like last year, I learned a little bit about Jesus Christ, and that's when I changed my whole platform to have faith, show love, give hope, and I believe in Jesus Christ. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you like I'm a big church going person. I try to go to church every Sunday, but I'm still learning. I can't tell you that it's like, I believe in Jesus Christ, that he came and saved us and stuff like that, but I'm still learning. So I wouldn't be able to even like have those conversations where I'm trying to convince anybody or nothing. I just want to be loving, caring, respectful. I want to treat people with love, care, and give people hope.
Yeah, I think with all of them, because I'm a part of a few multi-faith councils and stuff, that is the main goal. To when I find that people are so angry with people because they don't believe what they believe, they're missing the whole message of whatever it is their practice is. If somebody finds happiness somewhere, and it's not malicious to other people and it's not harming to other people, you should kind of let them be happy. That is my main goal in life, because nobody has the answers to everything, because nobody's gone there, came back and said, look, I saw it, I took a picture of it, this is what they said, and it's irrefutable. That is what faith is. As long as somebody's doing something good for the community, for themselves, for their family, let them be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's mine.
That's yours.
Oh, thank you, man. I was thinking they were making it for me, but I wasn't really 100% sure.
That's
So this is my memory. So I'm gonna I was thinking about putting it on my platform, like having it hanging here forever.
Yeah.
Because like one of my buddies gave me this Cuban cigar the other day, and I told him I was gonna put it on my shelf. So it's like a couple Cuban cigars, because I'm Cuban. So he gave it to me. So I'm gonna do that too. I'm gonna figure out a way. I don't know. That's gonna fall. I'm gonna figure out a way to put this on here, somewhere, to hang it, to be on my platform from here on out. And I appreciate you so much for thinking about me and bringing me something. Another thing I wanted to, we've mentioned your books a lot. We've talked about it, and a lot of everything you do is because of the books had guided you that way, or you doing the books had led you to just certain things. Can you tell me a little bit about how you began to write books and that whole journey with the book writing thing?
Well, it was an interesting process. My first book, Tears of the Wounded, came about because of, again, D Brown. She does Cat Fest. We had a place called D's Delightful Arts downtown, and a friend of hers and of the community, Cat, blanking on the rest of the name and stuff, but was murdered by her boyfriend. So we all came together as a community to throw a kind of celebration of life, artists come together and donate their time and energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I had done a couple pieces for the open mic that I had started hosting on domestic violence because it just happened to be that month. The next month was domestic violence month. So I wrote a couple pieces on that. And I was like, well, I could expand on these. So at the time I had two, Gun Clicks Pow, and I think it was Bo. And I expanded those like short poems out into a full book. Funny story is that as artists and creatives, maybe it's just me, but we wait until the last minute to do everything.
Yeah.
So I wrote my first book in 2 weeks. It was 30 pages, and I broke it down into different stories. So the typical, person that gets into a relationship and gets abused and stuff like that, to the male experience, LGBTQ, cyberbullying, what happens when you invite an abuser into your house, and then years later, how that cycle affects your family and everything. Actually, the last book in the series is going to tie up that particular family story.
Mm-hmm.
But as a way to tell more versions of the story than just your typical, I was in an abusive relationship, but what happened? Why didn't you leave? And it did well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's been 10 years. That is going to turn 10 in May.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, the second book that I wrote in the childhood trauma series had, because the first one was all short stories. I had a poem to start it and a poem to end. And I wanted to reverse that since I had been on stage for a couple of years and done different things. So I did a book of sevens. It's 7 chapters, 77 pages, and 7 chapters, 77 poems. And there's another 7 in there for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I think my editor kind of messed that up. That was the last book that I had edited out by somebody else as well.
Mm-hmm.
But in that, I just wanted to tell the story that I had been telling audiences. That's the one that actually got the illustrations going because I wanted to illustrate the 7 chapters.
Yeah.
And then the third book, it came about, well, technically 19 because I've done magazines, interviews, and stuff like that. But my third published book was going on childhood trauma series. Things that, as you get older, you find out were sometimes lies. Bedtime stories, folklores, fairy tales, what an actual breakup looks like from that perspective, not just TV and stuff, what the actual process of healing looks like as a person's going through it. Because, and I think is something I've heard a couple times, but you never actually see a person heal. Because they go off, they seclude themselves, or they fall into jobs, or they do other stuff while they're getting themselves back to them.
Yeah.
So I wanted to take a year and just kind of do what I've done with my poetry, and that's how the first one came out. This one that's coming out, chapter 2 to that, will be a kind of refresher course, but more of what do you do now? You went through the process of trying to figure out what your triggers are, what can help you, things about society that you learned with politics and stuff that were lies, and now what do you do to change the world? So that's what the second volume of that book will be about.
Wow, that's good. That thing you're saying right now, the government right now, they're finding all kinds of things that there's a lot of things going. It's a lot of secret things that go on, a lot of secret money that gets pushed around. And you still see the homelessness, you still see this, you still see the mental health, and the rich people keep getting richer, and the poor people just keep staying the same, I guess.
Yeah, or eliminated. That's one thing with the activism, and that's why I think they worked hand in hand with the activism and being some type of city civil servant. And I found out the other day, Toledo is the only place that still has wards, because in other cities there would be, or my position would be like an alderman. But yeah, you kind of have to do both because it's like with entertainment. They tell you there's going to be drugs, sex, and money, and then somebody 18, fresh off the bus, is going to be, I'm going to be a star without the drugs, sex, and money. It's like, no,
you're not.
it doesn't work that way. Like being a lawyer or something, there are many crooked people, then that's where we get the stereotype for a lot of those things. Politicians lie. Although nowadays they just kind of tell the truth because they just do the stuff, and there's not a lot of people in opposition to it because it's a lot to realize that when you grow up that all this stuff that they said was not a movie or fiction. It's more real than you would think. It's just elaborated different or names changes, but it does happen everywhere.
Yeah. Sometimes I think the movie is right here. We're in the movie.
Yeah.
There's no movie.
Life is the most realistic movie you're ever going to find.
Yes, sir.
We haven't found a director yet to be able to duplicate it.
Yeah. All right. So there was another. Okay. I seen on your Facebook that you were named one of the top 100 leaders in Toledo, Ohio or something. And also that you had won the Outstanding Author 419 People's Choice Award.
Yep.
And throughout the years, you've won many different awards. Can you talk a little bit about the awards and a little bit about some of the awards that you have won throughout the years?
Yep. 2019, I want to say that was one of the first years I started actually getting recognition and winning stuff for everything. Because before that, it was just open mics or sometimes features. And then I got the People's Choice Awards. And from there, it was just a lot of stuff. Momentum, the Arts Commission, shout out to them. I've won a few Momentum Awards, the Ode for the Zip Code, which is a contest that's going on right now where you take your area code, say 43602 or whatever, and then you write words to that. So it will be 4 words, 3 words, 6 words, and that's how you make the poem. So I did that. Chicago, I go there. I'm on my 4th year as the national, NSW, so National Spoken Word Awards, done by a guy named Black Ice or DeAndre Hawthorne in Chicago. And every year, the only person that has been nominated for Toledo is Best Storyteller and Best Male Poet of the Year. So this year I'm looking to make it number 5. Maybe we're taking it home. But, all that stuff is kind of popularity too, because you got to get people to vote on it. One of the hardest things about being an entertainer and an artist is getting recognition from your hometown. So I've been privileged in that sense. Last year I got the African American Award. It has more names to it, but that's put on the African American Festival Award.
Okay,
that's what it is. Put on by the Toledo Urban Federal Credit Union. This was the first time that they ever had a poet open the show, and I was also one of the honorees. So I led the parade, and that was the first time a poet has ever opened or performed in the Huntington Center.
Wow,
so that was beautiful.
Congratulations, bro. That's big.
I look forward, and hopefully I did a good enough job. They won't be like, nope, we're not having poetry for another 20 years.
Yeah.
But I think it was good. All the people that see me afterwards, I said they really enjoyed it. Plus, it was a space where I got to be a lot different than what you would say an open mic or reading, where they really got to feel what poetry can do on a bigger stage. So that was nice. The most recent one was the what is it? The Hungry Man. Oh man! But as an entertainer, as somebody that's always in the public eye, I am appreciative for those that see me, even if I don't know them. But yeah, that was a kind of out of the blue. I've spoken with a lot of the other people that was on the list we didn't know at all. So it was shocking. He said 10,000 people over the course of a year made all that voted list. And it's nice to hear. I still, don't really care much for his platform. because of what he came in Toledo and did in the first place. Inked on my arms, on my artwork. If you say something bad about Toledo, we got issues.
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
So, but again,
I think now he's just trying to kiss our butts.
Exactly. That's what it feels like when we had the whole Montez thing.
Yeah. What happened to Montez? I haven't seen him on the social media. Hey, he deleted everything.
He milked that 15 minutes the best he could, though.
I'm supposed to call him, but I never called him.
But when that happened, you start seeing the hungry man talking about us again.
Yeah.
And again, for the optics of it, thank you to all the people that voted. But I'm not really, there was no ceremony, there was no award. It was just a nice recognition to get people talking about Toledo in a positive light. So I like that.
Yeah.
Awards and stuff, I hope, again, to go to Chicago this year and win it. I know the voting starts National Poetry Month, which is in April. And then all the other stuff, I've gotten to actually perform for PBS and be on their radio show because of the work I did. I think that is something I don't want to say is lacking in entertainment, but is somewhat not emphasized on versatility in your performance and what you produce as well. As we just saw with the Super Bowl and Kendrick, something I've seen a couple people speak on because most of my stuff is adult. I talk about real world issues and politics and trauma and everything like that, but I know how to edit mid-sentence my own, take the F out or other words. And I saw him do that too. And I think that was something that was bigger or not really emphasized as much too, because he was not supposed to supposedly do the Not Like Us, but he did it in a way that they could not censor him. He didn't say niggas, he didn't say pedophile and stuff. So I thought that was good. And as an entertainer, I go from doing erotic shows or Love Jones show to I grew up on PBS in Northwest Ohio because that's one thing I do every year too is the Northwest Ohio Teen Book Festival, introducing kids into art forms.
Yeah.
Not a lot of entertainers that I've met know how to transition. It's great if everybody in the street knows you, if your own circle of people know you, but then where are you going to take your legacy? If everybody just knows you as the turn-up person or the person that can produce a fire album, what about the person that could teach, to go into libraries? I get to have the privilege of being able to go into schools and the libraries and to community stuff and still at the club afterwards.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, it's really important, man. We need to get recognized sometimes, and it feels good to get awards and all that. But it also feels good to not just get them, but like you said, like I don't know, I feel like no one really pays attention to me sometimes. like what you said earlier, it feels like sometimes like your city doesn't support you, but I also get a lot of support. Right. I do get a lot of support, but sometimes it still feels like it's like lonely out here because life is hard. It feels lonely sometimes.
That is true, and I think that's also the hardest thing when people do start getting into entertainment or performance or honing their gift or whatever. Your city, your family, it's not your target audience anymore. You want it.
Yeah, you want them to. Yeah.
Remember when I was nobody? But then it's, I do. Give me some money.
Yeah.
So I won't tell people you was nobody now.
Yeah.
But when you do get that level of success within your hometown too, that's kind of, you made it there. A lot of people that do come from their own hometown don't even claim them. And it kind of sucks because they want to go with the bigger city or they leave their city and start trashing it and stuff. And I've always felt if you don't have no place to go home to, you might find some problems later on in life.
Yeah. Yeah, I love my city, Toledo. Because, I don't know if you know, but I went to prison. When I got out of prison, I didn't have nothing. I could have went anywhere. My kids were here. But I was like, man, I could go to Florida. I have family everywhere. I was like, nah, I'm going to stay in my Toledo. stay in my Toledo, I helped my mom build a cleaning business, and then I built this platform because I want to kind of inspire people in Toledo. I want to talk to you, and something you said can inspire, talk to the next person, and hopefully we can give hope to somebody that's sitting somewhere and doesn't have an idea. Maybe we can give them that click, that's something to make them stand up, start writing a book, start doing something with their life.
You could be that person that throws somebody on the sign-up list without their acknowledgement.
Yeah.
And you never know. That's why I always like people that are proud of their hometowns, even proud of their own craft, and don't really have a lot of beef.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I like people that just do it and stop complaining so much. And I like right now, me complaining to you right there, that's just me. But I try not to do that because I just feel just do the thing that I'm supposed to do. Keep cleaning houses, keep producing my podcast. One day, everything will be fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's all going to be okay. I guess if I had to give advice to people or stuff like that, is just that. Just keep doing. Somebody notices you. Like, I've been amazed going to shows or even different cities, and then somebody screams out my name. I'm like, who is this person? Who are all these people that Austin Powers thing? But you never know who's watching you. You never know who might be too shy to tell you that they're a fan or something like that, and that you could be encouraging them. I've over the years, I've had people come up to me, tell me I wrote my book because of you, or I do open mics every now and then because you showed me it wasn't that scary. Or even people go into EDM shows because it was like, I didn't know Black people could do that.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes.
But they can.
Yeah, sometimes you don't even know. Some random person will come up to you like, I like what you did. I seen what you did on Facebook, and I'm like, damn, I didn't even know you guys were watching. But yeah, not everyone hits that like, but a lot of people see what they're, a lot of people see what people do, but they're just not on social media interacting with people. But they'll see it. Let me take a little break. Let me check the camera, and then.
Oh yeah, you did that one thing. Yeah. And that was one thing out of 15 other years of mistakes that actually worked well.
Yeah, a lot of people don't see they don't see the journey. They just see like the finished product, and they think that. So your hat and your shirt, everything says Ink Truth. That's one of your businesses, right?
That's the art brand in itself.
Oh, the art brand itself.
Yeah, because and a lot of people, especially when I first started it, they were asking me, "Are you a tattoo artist?" I'm like, "Nope." Yeah. But I explain it to you because I draw everything with my hands. So it's the ink from the pigment that actually makes the drawing come to life. Kind of like how it's not Picasso, Michelangelo, I want to say it is. I was talking about the clay, but he saw the artwork that was inside of it. So I'd take those blank pages and fill them in with ink until comes up with a picture of something. So that's why it's called Ink Truth. Also a play on the spoken truth, since everything that you do see in that is a lot of the visualization of the artwork. A couple of the pieces, like that one, Final Stroke has a poem to it. I have some that go back and forth where the poem was created, then the artwork, or the artwork, and then the poem. Like one called Still Alive, that's a anatomical heart that if you put it under LEDs, that's another thing why it's also so colorful. It follows light spectrum. So the image, if you have a light bar or light strip, which I'm seeing are getting phased out, and put it on the high rotate setting, the image will move. So in that one, the eyes will blink, the frog will somewhat shift, the feathers and stuff will ruffle. If you put it under the color of my hat, and the logo will flip between saying Ink Truth, like one of them little signs.
Oh, okay.
And that I learned from doing EDM shows, because I was walking by, someone had one of those, and I was like, wait a minute. And I walked back, I was like, Oh, so the light spectrum of whichever color hits it, it makes the other one go away. But there's a couple artists that do that, but not really as their thing. And this, I kind of just made it my thing. So
yeah, that's pretty interesting. I didn't know that. So yeah, the light spectrum, by it changing lights, it changes. It makes it look like it moves. Yeah, I've seen things like that. Like some people draw things and they spin it, and then when they spin it, it moves. Yep. So certain things make things motion. Lights can actually change your view of things. I wanted to ask you too about you've done acting, films. Can you tell me a little bit about how that started and a little bit of whether it's the things that you've been in?
Yep. Somewhat with the performance and stuff. I met a few poets, and while I was still at the radio show, I met a woman by the name of Della Styles. And actually, even before I started doing my own independent poetry and stuff, she asked, did we want to do a play? It was called Stuck in the Rain. Yeah, and that was so funny because that was, before I did my first open mic, and I did a stage play. And then some year stuff, and then I started the poetry, and then as you go to different things, I got asked to do another stage play. When through activism, when the whole Flint crisis was happening, we organized and went up to Flint several times. One of those times was at the governor's office. And a whole bunch of activist groups, Michigan Militia, Anonymous, and stuff went up there. And it didn't even hit me until it's like some years later when I was working my job, and the coworker was like, "You're in the movie." And I'm like, no. Because I had just done like some podcast or like some YouTube movies for another friend of mine named Opal. But he was like, yeah. And it hit me that when we went to Michigan, we signed off waivers and stuff, and they turned it into a movie. It's called Parts Per Billion. I still have to see that to this day. But that was my first IDBM or IMDb, the movie credit. And then I've done a couple of short independent films here, one with Movie Mail, which I have to contact. I haven't forgot about you. If you see this before I contact you, because I'll probably be in Paris, wanted me to do some voiceover work. But so that was a good experience. Hollywood came here. So shout out to Film Toledo and the connections and Lily and Piles. I want to say out of Cleveland. There's a movie that we shot here called, and everybody spoiled it, so I don't think I'll be spoiling it. They're actually reshooting some scenes now because it was supposed to be out this year, called Eeny Meeny at the Hollywood Casino. So where we had to play an extra in that, and it's kind of like somewhat the same thing as doing a stage play or performance. You got lines, you memorize stuff. Although a bigger production movie, say Eeny Meeny or even Sons of Toledo, which I did a few years ago, which won more awards than any other movie has in Toledo. We won all kind of the Sundance and stuff like that before the whole war. It actually won an award in Russia for Best Urban American Film. So, and that got to be on PBS. I believe it's still on their schedule if you look it up. But with that, it's interesting.
That's is that what the Barbers on the east side?
Yep, with the Barbers on the east side and Mark.
Yeah, Mark.
Yep.
Mark Dog or something.
Yep.
That's not his name, but I think that's what they call him.
Yeah. His social media handles or pseudonyms. I know he's got a Art of the Cut coming up at the Art Museum. I think I won't be here I think I'll be gone out of town for that. But yeah, Toledo in itself is a vibrant city. We are a film city now. That's something that happened last year why Eeny Meeny was able to come, because you can get tax credits. So why people are like, why are all the films shot in Florida and Atlanta and stuff like that? Because they get tax credits. It's incentivized, Toledo is a film city. So this summer you'll probably see several more movies come here. So I would shout out to Film Toledo and Toledo Talent. That's the other agency that seems to be connected with anything coming this way.
Wow. That's pretty interesting. My wife was did a little extra thing at the casino. She signed up one day, but they had her like by a slot machine, like walking back and forth.
Right.
You know what I mean? They were doing like a shooting scene, and she just kept
I
walking.
remember that. See, still though, I'm excited when it does come out.
Yeah, for sure.
So I know we had started a group on Messenger, so we're still all anticipating like we're just gonna try and do a giant watch party when it does release for all the extras and stuff.
Yeah.
So that'd be fun. I mean, and it's good too because it gets your name out there. So now I'm on the Disney because the movie is Sony, Disney, all that conglomerate stuff. So gives you a resume that you can say, well, I was at least an extra. I may not have speaking parts, but if you got something that comes here, or if I want to audition for something, I can use that, and it expands on what you can do as a entertainer.
And I think it's a good thing because when I look at you, you don't. It's like you're like a character of the city. You know what I mean? You ever see like some people? They just like you got the staff, you got the bag, the big, you got the coat with the cool little like I don't know. You got the beads and the necklaces. You're like something where if people think of Toledo, they can like they're filming here in Toledo. You can be that extra that just like walks by in the background. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a guy in New York for every time. I want to say it was Robin Williams. Yeah. For all of his movies, if he ever shot in New York, that's the guy they have to go get to be in the movie. But yeah, and it's been a process. Like even my arms and the tattoos. When I was a kid, one of my favorite books was The Illustrated Man, and I wanted to, or at least then I didn't know. But now, when I started shaping my career, I wanted to always tell pieces and bits of my story. Because sometimes you get to be doing so much and you forget. Not necessarily how to be humble, but just the steps that brought you there. So even in my page and social media, I decided to what is that? Where you vlog your whole history. So you can go back from the beginning to where I was just reading on paper and not so confident in front of the phone or an audience to where I can open arenas and raise flags because we currently for Black History Month we raised the Pan-African flag at one government center and in city council chambers for representation other than just hey it's this month, come buy stuff from us. So that's one thing I'm especially proud of too, of learning through all of my mistakes how to be where I'm at. One big thing that I always get from people about this is it being hard and difficult and stuff. And I forget who said it. I saw it on some clip or some interview, which is very true. And keeping yourself balanced is no matter how good you do, because I run food banks too, and other stuff that helps people in the community, is don't burn yourself out trying to make everybody else happy or trying to look like a good person. Because at the end of the day, the people who will do you the worst don't want what you give them. You can buy them cars, you can give them food, help them out with bills. They want what you have in particular. And that's something you really can't duplicate. The trauma, the endless nights that I probably never talk about in books, or the self-doubt is what makes me have what I have.
You challenge yourself with it.
Yep.
So everything's not honky dory. That challenges you to create a better version of yourself every day.
I just make it look good.
Yeah, because we all have self-doubt every single day. Not everybody, but I'm sure a lot of people do. I keep seeing that you're going to Paris.
Yes.
So I was gonna ask you. I wanted to know, like, what are you going to Paris for? I mean, I did read a little bit about it, but what are you going to Paris for? And have you traveled abroad before? Like, can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yep. This year I'm going to Paris for my sister's birthday. Every year we do at least 1 or 2 trips, holidays, vacations, because we didn't get to do that when we were kids. So We made a pact a few years ago that we would see the world like we wanted to, and we just start doing stuff. So we've been to the Grand Canyon and Niagara Falls, both sides. In 2023, we went to Japan as soon as all the unspeakable virus and stuff was gone. Because I got my passport in 2020, but then I just kind of waited.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff going on.
Yep. I said if I was going to travel abroad and do some stuff, I wanted to see people and not mask and or things not being fully there. And yeah, go when you have the opportunity. But I don't know if I'm ever going to be back to these places. So this year we chose Paris because for her 38th, she had went there, but it was kind of a bad experience because she didn't know about SIM cards and distances and stuff. So I figured this year we'll go back and do it right. Because when we went to Japan, we got acclimated to all this stuff, even them leaving our luggage in Canada for a day, which we hope doesn't happen this time. But I always wanted to go there because it's one of those big places. You go see the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre. I'm also going to see Notre Dame because when it burnt down a few years ago, I made a poem about it. So I heard that it opened this year, so I want to do that. And then there's also the connection with James Baldwin and a lot of the Black Power movement, which I knew about James Baldwin, but I didn't know that there's like a whole little community there. When I was looking up places, there's a Rosa Parks Hotel.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even know there
in
was
Paris.
There's a Rosa Parks Hotel in Paris. I didn't go to that one because they have bunk beds. That's something else you learn when you travel abroad. Everything isn't like America. I pronounced that exactly that way.
Yeah.
So when we was looking up stuff, they had like rooms with bunk beds or hostels, which I guess hostel over here is just a B&B.
Yeah.
Pending. But just to see some stuff, enjoy myself and give people the opportunity to know it can be done. One of my reasons for doing a lot of stuff, and I have a poem called Blip, that is so someone can see someone that looks like you. I did not know half of the African American poets or entertainers until I got in the field, because mostly all you see is mainstream people. And those are far and few in between. So when you see me doing it, who lives in the projects, catches a bus, doesn't have parents, doesn't have a large group of friends, no sorority, no degrees, no none of this, but still, I'm still up on stage with people that have all those things. And most time I get the top award in those things, and that's because of life lived. It will always be rehearsal or practice.
Yeah, you're forged by the fire.
Yep. So,
yeah.
Although my life has been like a Lifetime movie story, maybe one day I'll do a biography and stuff. But right now I'm enjoying living it and being surprised every day by what I'm capable of.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What is next for you? Like, what's something, a goal that you got, or I don't know.
I guess now I'm still trying to break into voiceover work as a full-time thing or as a viable profession, because I love being on stage. It's awesome. But that does require a lot of my time, energy, management, and not really being at home. I have a kid, I'm about to have a grandkid, and I want to be able to not be the person saving everyone while they're at home waiting for me. That's a big thing in activism too, that people go out here and they protest and they march for people and start stuff, but at home, their people don't see them.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to take some of my time back and get into professions that pay more, or to where I could teach. I've been hopping all over the place. I hope to be able to give that back to some people without them being discouraged of, well, you didn't go to Yale or you didn't teach at this theater, so you can't get this part. Yes, you can. As I would be the person that says, yes, you can.
Absolutely. I appreciate you so much, man. What's your Facebook name and social media and all that?
Yep. Easiest way to find me is go in your Google or your search bar and type my name, Jodie Summers. It's Jodie Summers. I will put the L in there. It kind of does help. But again, most people, when they do book me for stuff, the L is out. But if you put in Jodie L Summers, it should lead you to my YouTube, my Instagram, my Facebook, and then all the other stuff. Like, my YouTube isn't what you would expect. I think I'm still under 200 people, but I never really learned how to promote YouTube.
Yeah.
My Facebook is mainly where everything else is generated from. I talk on there a lot. I journal a lot. So you're not going to just find trendy things on there. And Instagram, I picked back on that in the last couple of years. There was some time where I didn't really like it because it was photos. And I'm like, but I tell stories.
Yeah.
That's why I never got into the Twitter or X, the Elon thing, because you couldn't talk a lot. So that's the easiest way to find me. Google my name.
Google your name.
You're always going to see my face on my page. It's always going to say my name. If you go and it's something else, you went too far.
Yeah. Back up.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'll put all the links in the description. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming and sitting down with me. And do you have a poem you could read to us or no? Do you have none?
I do.
Huh?
I do. I'm trying to think.
Okay.
Well, I could give you my intro.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of short. It's like 1 minute or so.
Okay.
But for anybody that does want to get into this, to be a poet or author, just want to say, always be yourself. The more you veer into trendy things and stuff like that, the more you are destined to fail. Because being authentic doesn't take a lot, but making shit up does.
Yeah.
You got to do so much more to make sure all those stuff went together. But if you do see me on stage traveling around the country or anything, I know I'll be in Atlanta in April. So that is my next thing back in the country. And I got to hit up New York and stuff like that. But I am an open book. Yes, an open book to those that decide to read. 1,000 words, yes, 1,000 words to those who've only caught a glimpse of me. And a lifetime, yes, a lifetime, to those that can say they were part of my story. If you are anywhere under the sound of my voice, you are now family. Because on this stage, yes, on this stage is where I share the most vulnerable parts of myself. And I hope, yes, I hope that you hear me. That's how I kind of open up shows and then
Thank you.
all the other poems.
Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. Have faith, show love, give hope, let go, and let God. Thank you, Jodie.
Thank you.
Have faith, show love, give hope today. Together we're stronger in every way. From the streets to the heart, we're breaking the mold. Sharing God's truth, the greatest story told. Welcome to the show, where hearts ignite. It's time to grow. Let's shine.